All right, my name is Amanda Parks, and I'm here to talk to you guys today about the home buying process and tips to be successful in doing so. A little bit about, how to buy a house is basically, researching and finding people to help you so that you're knowledgeable about what you're going to be purchasing, how to purchase it, how to get financed, things like that. According to the National Association of Home Buyers, most people who buy a home are the average age of about 33, so this is a good audience to work with for that. Usually people start buying a home, it said, at the age of 24, and usually around the age of 46 is when people are pretty settled and usually don't buy homes anymore. About 352 homes were sold in Atlanta in May 2010, so that's about 11 homes a day. So right now is a great time to buy a house. It's probably the lowest interest rates are occurring right now, so it's very, very beneficial to look into it and to know successful steps in order to do so. A few questions that people usually have about how to buy a house or how to go about doing it is having the money to do so, what their credit score should be, and then of course who can help them in the process to make it as easy as possible. The first step to buy a home is to check your credit. So you want to make sure that you know what your credit report's like, what's on it, and what your score is. Depending on the lender that you choose, your credit score has to be, of course, a certain number to obtain the loan, and your interest rate is usually based on that number and, of course, the lender that you pick. Your lender usually helps in finding the best loan for you, the best interest rate for you, and, of course, the least amount of money possible in order to close the sale. So that's very beneficial to use someone like that. Currently, the state of Georgia requires a 620 credit score, and that is only for one type of loan. That is for a rural development loan. It's also called an RD loan. And right now it's only good for rural areas, such as Barrow, Banks County, Franklin County. Those are all areas that can be eligible to get that loan from. It's 100% financing, and again, it only requires a 620 credit score. So that's probably the best loan out there right now, but unfortunately not all counties qualify for that. And when you close on a house, typically, if you have a traditional loan, you will have to have closing costs to pay the attorney and other people associated with the buying process. With an RD loan, you basically have to have no money up front. Just give them your signature and your credit and move right in, basically. Another type of loan is called the Federal Housing Administration Loan. It's also called FHA, and it currently requires a 620, but starting on November 15th, it will require a 640. That score, along with the 620, are somewhere between fair and good credit scores. Once you've looked into your credit and decide, which score you have and what your credit's like, and you go to the lender, they would be better equipped to tell you which one would better suit you. The FHA loan does require 3.5% of the purchase price down, but it also requires little to no closing costs, depending on the lender that you have and, of course, the home that you're buying. Another loan is called a traditional home loan. It's usually for people who earn more money and who can put 20% down of the purchase price. So it's usually people who have a lot of money in savings, and their credit scores are typically a little higher. Usually when you go with a traditional home loan, of course, you put them more up front, and that, of course, reflects on the credit, and the closing costs are paid out of pocket by the buyer usually. Another step in being successful in buying a house is to have a realtor. That person will help weed out homes that you can't afford. They'll also help you in getting a house that's right for you, that fits your family, fits your budget, all of that kind of stuff. So it's very beneficial to have one of those in order to make it as easy as possible, so you're not out searching the streets looking for the house by yourself. Typically the realtor will know, up front what your needs are and, what you can afford and things like that. So that saves a lot of time in helping you find something that's reasonable for you. The third step is you want to make sure that you know what you can afford. A lot of lenders will pre-qualify you for an amount that they think you can afford based on your annual income, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you personally can afford it, because you know what your spending habits are like, you know what other debts you have, and you have to kind of sit down and decide how much per month can I afford. Just because you're pre-qualified for $400,000 may not mean that you can afford the monthly payment on a house that costs that much. So you definitely want to sit down with the realtor and the lender and discuss that. Another thing to consider is the neighborhood. You want to make sure that you know what the neighborhood's like, what your neighbors are like, what the schools are like. If you travel, you may want to be near a road like 316 or something where you can get to work very easily. So you want to make sure that you can research that and make sure that you are in a good area. And lastly, a good thing to consider is the resale value of the home. When you go to buy a house, you want to make sure that it does have good resale value. Chances are, if you are 24, you probably would not live in that house for the rest of your life. You want to make sure it is in a good area and make sure that you consider possibly renovating it down the road or just, painting, whatever it may need in order to have a potential buyer buy it later in the future. Just because you have pink cabinets and you love them doesn't mean that a potential buyer would want your pink cabinets or your green walls or something like that. Lastly, I researched a couple on the USA Today, the Black Enterprises column, volume 39, and it focused on a family, the Membries. They basically bought a house 2 days before Thanksgiving of '08. They were qualified for $400,000, and they won $10,000 in a home buying sweepstakes, basically, that they entered. So they had $10,000 down, plus they had some money in savings. So by following the rules, making sure that they had good credit, they got pre-qualified, they sat down and knew what they could afford, they were very successful in buying the home. Although we are in a recession now, they were successful, they knew what they could afford, they checked their credit, they hired a lender, a realtor, and closed the sale. And the family is now quoted in saying that following all of those steps made it successful and easy to buy their home, and they're still there today. And that's it. I'm going to wrap it up, and I want to just thank you guys for your time. Thank you.